Alright, so welcome into your Ring of Honor All-Star Extravaganza 8 review. This is long overdue since I've been busy with a few things. So, I did watch it live, but I've been meaning to get the review out, but got caught up with some things. So, I have some free time. I'm going to finally get that ROH All-Star Extravaganza review out the way right now. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So we start off with Bobby Fish defending the world television title against Donovan Dijak, Prince Nana at ringside, and you also have some guys at the New England Wrestling Academy, because that's where Dijak trained, and you had Dijak as the hometown guy, and he was really over with the fans. And you have Fish announcing to Dijak that he was gonna take out his legs, work his leg over, and that's what Fish did in the match. He did what he said he was gonna do, and that was work over Dijak's legs. Dijak hits a discus kick, still selling the damage to the knee, and he gets a 2 count from that. And then Dijak works over Fish, and he's tossing him around. And Fish ends up targeting the legs again and hits an exploder in the corner for a 2 count. Afterwards, Fish then proceeds to go back to work on the knee of Dijak, but Dijak was able to power out and hit a Feast Your Eyes for a 2 count, selling the damage to the knee, slow to pin Fish. Fish ends up getting his foot on the ropes because of it. So then Dijak goes for a corkscrew moonsault. Fish gets out the way and they trade strikes in the middle of the ring. Dijak goes for a choke slam, but Fish gets out of it and escapes and then transitions into the heel hook. But Dijak was able to get to the ropes as Nana distracted Bobby Fish. You had Dijak pretty much going for the Feast Your Eyes a second time, but Fish was able to counter into a rear naked choke, and that led to referee stoppage. Good opening match. Really liked that. Really liked how they worked the match and how Dijak pretty much was selling the knee. Where they had the story of Dijak trying to add gold and he's real young, Fish being the vet, and Dijak's power was no match for Fish's speed, quickness, and experience. But I thought this title change would have been good, so I thought it would have been nice to have Dijak as world champ, but I'm not mad here. So this match, I'm going to give it a 3.75 out of 5. Really good opening match from these guys. Good way to start, get the crowd hyped up a little bit. So then we get to the four corners, the fatal four-way #1 contenders match for the ROH World Tag Titles, with Red Titus and Kenny King versus Shane Taylor and Keith Lee versus War Machine versus Dalton Castle and Colt Cabana. This match, before the match started, you had Caprice Coleman cutting a promo talking about how if they get attacked in this match or something, they're gonna protest and sue Ring of Honor or something like that. I don't know. But you had you also had Titus and King kneeling and protested the Code of Honor as a reference to the whole Colin Kaepernick situation, and I thought it was kind of lame. But yeah, they're in the time. I mean, I get that you want to show that like you're not out of touch with the culture, but yeah, the cabinet thing, I thought it was gonna be really good, but it's been whack. But the match starts off with a brawl between all four teams, where it starts with Rowe and Hanson going after Taylor and Lee, continuing their feud. You had all these teams going for all their spots. You had Titus and King brawling with Castle and Cabana, while War Machine were brawling with Key and Lee. Yeah, the match got a bit sloppy at times, where you had Castle, he hits a deadlift German on to Keith Lee, which I gotta say that is impressive for Dalton Castle. Because the thing about Dalton Castle is, I know he's a really good worker. That's the thing. He's a really good worker, but the character turns me off. Like, I can't get behind the dude with the character he has, dude. Like, doing all those emasculated poses and all that bullshit. Like, I just can't get behind the dude. If he would have had, like, a more serious character that was actually badass, I could get behind him. That's my biggest problem with Dalton Castle. But anyway, other than that tangent, like, you had some good dives, like Keith Lee doing a springboard, doing like a somersault plancha over the top rope. Cabana and Castle were hitting suicide dives on the cabinet. You had Hanson going off the top rope, hitting his somersault plancha or front flip plancha onto everyone, wiping out everybody. And then the match ends with Dalton Castle hitting the bangering on Red Titus for the 3 count. It was a solid match. The match did get a bit sloppy at times, but it was good for what it was, and sadly, Cabana and Castle win. I'm going to give it a solid 3. Like, all 4 teams got into the match, and it was hard to get all their spots in when they have like probably like 5-10 minutes, and yeah, I also got, well, Taylor and Lee, they're a bit green, but I think these guys could be a really great tag team. That's a tag team that New Japan should bring over to their heavyweight tag division. But you have the next match, Kamatachi Dragon Lee. This is my first time watching these two wrestle each other. I've seen Kamatachi before, but I've never seen Dragon Lee wrestle. And for the first match I've seen, I was really impressed. You had a bunch of counters to start off the match to tell a story that these guys have scouted each other, and it's a rivalry that goes back to CMLL, because this is ROH's first show pay-per-view with CMLL, because they've been doing pay-per-views with New Japan, but this is the first one where you have New Japan and CMLL. But Lee and Kamatachi hit some dives. Like, Lee ends up hitting a suicide dive early on. And Kamatachi ends up coming back with a sunset flip powerbomb, sending him to the floor. And then, while they're on the floor, Kamatachi follows up with a regular powerbomb. And they kept working on the floor. And while they were still outside of the ring, Kamatachi was whipping Dragon Lee over the barricade a few times. Then got on the apron and hits a running drop kick over the barricade. Then, as they get back to the ring, Lee comes back with a series of drop kicks. Then I believe he hit, what was it, a corkscrew moonsault, or was it a corkscrew plancha? I think it was. I'm not sure. I can't really quite remember which one it was. But Lee then proceeds to set Kamatachi in a trio roll on the outside of the ring. Eddie hits a nasty double foot stomp off the top rope. Then Lee and follows up with a dump suplex for a 2 count. Lee goes for another double foot stomp, but Kamatachi was able to get out the way. And Kamatachi ends up hitting an exploder that sends Dragon Lee to the floor. Kamatachi follows up with a senton off the top rope to the floor. They teased the double count out, but both of them ended up making it back. This match was pretty awesome. And they trade chops while they're on their knees. Then they were countering out of Hurricane Ranas. There's a spot where Lee hits a back suplex for a 2 count. Then Kamatachi hit the counter charge. And as they were on the top rope, he had a wheelbarrow roll off the top ropes for a 2 count. Then they traded Germans and tried to hit a Spanish fly, but it was sloppy. Both of them hit a Spanish fly that was sloppy. Then you had Kamatachi hit a pair of Germans where Lee blocked in. Then Dragon Lee gets an armbar on Kamatachi, and he was able to tie up both arms, but Kamatachi gets his leg on the ropes. Then Kamatachi rolls to the apron. Lee charges. Lee ends up going over the top ropes, and he hits a Hurricane Rana on Kamatachi to the floor. Then when they get back to the ring, Dragon Lee ends up doing that spot that Ricochet does, except Lee hits 2 Northern Light suplexes instead of 1, transitioning into a brainbuster for a 2 count. Kamatachi pops up and he hits the Canadian Destroyer. I mean, I've never seen anybody in midair manage to hit a Canadian Destroyer. That was the first time I've ever seen anything like that. Then you had fucking, what was it? Back in the corner, Lee was able to hit the double foot stomp. And he went for the last ride, but then Kamatachi was able to counter into another Canadian Destroyer for a 2 count. Kamatachi follows up with a Death Valley Driver to the corner, but Dragon Lee comes back and hits like a Phoenix Plex, and he hits dropping Kamatachi straight on his head for the 3 count. The match there were like a couple of botches in the match, but other than that, that was a really good match. I'm gonna give this a 4.25 out of 5. Now I'll put this probably on right around the level of Will Ospreay Kushida from Dominion. Well, not Dominion, but Invasion Attack. Like it was really a good match, man. Then they had a match, I guess this was to quiet down the crowd a little bit, where you had Adam Page and Kyle O'Reilly. Both of these men going back and forth a little bit. O'Reilly hitting a single leg takedown with the palm, followed by palm strikes, transitioning into the armbar. Page gets to the ropes. Page ends up getting the advantage, working over O'Reilly a little bit. But then O'Reilly comes back with a series of knee strikes and kicks. Then he works over Page's arm and knee, picking them apart. And as they fought on the apron, Page was able to send O'Reilly to the floor. And then he follows up with a shooting star press off the apron. Although Page seemed to have tweaked his knee after that. And then O'Reilly manages to come back with a series of knee strikes and kicks. And then O'Reilly eventually gets on the armbar a second time, and Page quickly taps out. After the match, you had Page attack O'Reilly, working over O'Reilly, trying to take out O'Reilly by wrapping a chair around his arm and throwing him into the ring post. And then Fish makes the save. This was a pretty good match. Although it wasn't really a great idea to fucking put this match after Kamatachi and Dragon Lee. I don't think it was a great idea to do that. Would have been much better if they just had this match before Dragon Lee and Kamatachi. I think the crowd would have been more into it. But I'm going to give this match 3.25 out of 5. These guys hit a good match, and it looks like they'll be setting up for a Bobby Fish, Adam Page match for the ROH TV title. Don't know when, but we'll see. Then you had Silas Young cutting a promo talking about how him and Beer City Bruiser couldn't find a partner for the 6-man tag tournament. And then goes on how he wanted to be ROH champion and he knew he'd have to work hard for it. Some guys would cry and whine and cry about it to get the title shot. But Silas talked about how he was a man. He's like, I thrive on opportunity, and I won the Honor Rumble, earned my title shot like a man, and I don't care who wins, because he's going to get a title match whoever wins between Cole and Elgin. And Silas is like, whether Cole wins, Elgin wins, I don't care who's ROH World Champion, I'm taking that title. So, good promo from Silas Young. It was short and to the point, didn't drag on, and it allowed us to get into the next match, which was the first match in round 1 of the ROH 6-man tag title tournament. Originally, it was supposed to be Toru Yano and the Briscoes taking on ACH, Lio Rush, and Kushida. Lio Rush. Well, not Kushida, but Jay White. ACH, Lio Rush, and Jay White. But Alex Shelley had Lio Rush go on a tour of Europe for a month and replaced him with Kushida. So that's how Kushida came in. And this is a really good match where the Briscoes taking control early on, working over White, but White and Yano doing his usual shtick where he pretty much tries to cheat to win, like exposes the turnbuckle although it ends up backfiring on him when White sends him to the exposed turnbuckle, gets the hot tag to Kushida, and Kushida pretty much works over Yano, takes out the Briscoes. It looks for a crossarm breaker, but Yano was able to get to the ropes. Kushida did pretty much gets his hair pulled by Yano, and then the Briscoes work over Kushida. Then you got Kushida fighting back and makes the tag to ACH. ACH takes out the Briscoes and Yano, working them over, hitting a beautiful Air Jordan. Then follows up with back-to-back lariats on Mark and a series of knee strikes and kicks to Jay. Good run by ACH. And then you have ACH, White, and Kushida working over Mark in the corner for a 2 count as Yano made the save. Match breaks down and the Briscoes end up working over Jay White. Kushida was able to save him from a Jay Driller, but then he was thrown out the ring, and then the Briscoes hit White with the Doomsday Device Froggy Bow combo, but White managed to kick out at 2. You had Yano tagging in, and all three work over Jay White. ACH and Kushida make the save, but then they get tossed out the ring, and then White makes a comeback. And as the ref wasn't looking, Yano was going for the low blow, but Kushida was able to cut him off. But Yano manages to throw Kushida into Jay White, rolls him up for a 2 count. Then you have White take out Yano. Kushida does like a front flip planche off the top rope onto the Briscoes, and then ACH hits the Midnight Star on Yano for the 3 count. And your winners are ACH, Jay White, and Kushida. Really good match from these guys. Like, Yano was the weak link of the match, but the guys really did a good job. I'm going to give this match 3.5 out of 5. Good to see the younger tag team win, because I would have been like I like the Briscoes, but I can't stand Toru Yano. I just don't like his character. I get he's a comedy character. I just think I don't find him funny at all. I think he's garbage. But I'm glad to see that I don't have to see Yano in this 6-man tag tournament. For the rest of the 6-man tag tournament. So we go into our next match. IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Heavyweight IC Champion, because Okada, what am I saying? Okada's the Heavyweight Champion. Well, at least I think, that I know of, because I'm going to watch King of Pro Wrestling after this. And then Naito with Evil taking on Jay Lethal. So as Lethal was making his way to the ring, Naito starts attacking Bobby Cruz, and Lethal makes the save and sends Naito to the floor. Carino was hyped as hell seeing Bobby Cruz getting taken out by Naito. So Lethal was working over Naito for a bit, and then Naito was able to take control of the match after scoring a tornado DDT, and he proceeds to choke out Lethal with his shirt. Naito then follows up with a drop kick he does in the corner for a 2 count. Then Lethal was able to come back and hit a lethal combination, which finally somebody from New Japan takes the lethal combination right. Because watching Carino and Takahashi, they almost killed themselves not taking the lethal combination right. So afterwards, Both men are training forearms. And you have Lethal hit a backdrop, follow back-to-back backdrops, actually 3 backdrops in a row, followed by the Hail to the King off the top rope for a 2 count. Naito was able to cut off Lethal, hitting the missile drop kick, then follows up by setting Lethal on the top rope, hitting a Hurricane Rana for a 2 count. Naito follows up with the side slam, goes for Destino. Went for Destino multiple times, but Lethal was able to block. And the second time Lethal counter, he hit a cutter. Lethal went for the lethal injection, but Naito was able to counter with a rolling kick. Then you had Evil distracting Lethal, allowing Naito to get some roll-ups for a 2 count. Lethal hits a crossface, and Evil pulled the ref onto the floor, and then attacks Lethal. And then Lethal was able to get rid of Evil and hit a springboard cutter onto Naito for a 2 count. Lethal sets Naito at the top rope, going for a cutter, but Naito was able to counter. Goes for a sunset flip powerbomb, but Lethal was able to counter into a Hurricane Rana. Then follows up with a lethal injection for a 3 count. And that was really a surprise for me, seeing Jay Lethal get the win, because I didn't expect Lethal to pick up the win. Because going into it, my mindset was, okay, Naito's the IC champ. You got to make him look strong. I'm not going to complain about Naito getting the win, because a lot of these people just complain about ROH guys losing to New Japan on their own shows. Here's the thing. You need to understand how prestigious those titles are. Like, you can't expect these guys, like Okada, he's the heavyweight champ. There was no way he was going to fucking job to Dalton Castle. He's the IWGP heavyweight champion. That championship is the most prestigious title in wrestling. Idiots. But Lethal ended up getting the win, so I guess they're going to be setting up a title match between those two pretty soon. So that match, good match. Really good match to see from both these guys. Got a bit sloppy towards the end. We had a couple of sloppy spots, like the near falls, like the roll-ups that Naito hit. Other than that, I thought this was a really good match. So I'm going to give this match a 3.75 out of 5. Then we get on to the world title match. Adam Cole defending against Unbreakable Michael Elgin. Going into this match, I was concerned that they were gonna do a callback to Best in the World 2014, where you had a bunch of interference that made Adam Cole look weak. Matt Hardy and Mike Bennett interfering. Then you have War Machine helping Elgin, fighting Bennett and Hardy to the back. But the match was clean. It was a really good match, where the match was Cole working over Elgin's leg. There were times where Elgin, no soul, but he wasn't really super Elgin. So yeah, and they were still playing up the story of Elgin's knee from Destruction and Kobe with the IC title match against Naito, where Naito ended up beating him. So Elgin, he hit a few Germans, but and he was still selling the knee. Hits a one-legged Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. You have Elgin hitting some stiff standing lariats, but then Cole was kept going after the knee. Elgin hits a German into the corner, goes to the top rope, but Cole was able to cut him off, send him into the Tree of Woe, where he went back to work on Elgin's knee. Then it pulls Elgin to the center of the ring to lock in a figure 4. Elgin gets to the ropes. Then there's a spot where Elgin goes off the top ropes and hits a Canadian Destroyer for a 2 count. Elgin hit the buckle bomb. It spun Cole, and he was going for the Elgin bomb, but Cole ends up hitting counters with a reverse Hurricane Rana and spams a bunch of super kicks to Elgin, but Elgin ends up nailing Cole with a lariat. So afterwards, Cole managed to counter an Elgin bomb again into the last shot for a 2 count. Cole went for the figure 4 again, and Elgin manages to nail Cole with palm strikes to fight his way out of it. Hits a spinning back fist, and then Cole pulls the ref to protect him. Hits super kick to the knee. Back-to-back Shining Wizards. Then followed by the last shot for the 3 count. I thought this was a really good match from both these guys. Definitely better. This was better than Best in the World. There were times where Elgin did no-sell the knee, but it didn't bother me too much. And the crowd wasn't that into it, which I really enjoyed the match. I don't know. Me personally, I'm going to give this a solid 4 out of 5. Really good match, really good title match. They made Cole look strong while protecting Elgin. And that's what I like to see. So now we get to the ladder match. Oh, by the way, Steve Corino came back on commentary. Sadly. Him and Kevin Kelly, I really don't like that team. I think these guys are fucking garbage. I think both of them are garbage. I'd rather have Nigel on commentary, because Nigel, he'll break down the match, point out the flaws of a wrestler, and what they're doing in the match is like, he's taking too much time. He used to be on the attack. You can't let his opponent have that much breathing room. He didn't hook the leg. Okay, he hooked the leg. Problem is, he didn't get enough body weight. He would break things down like that. It was really nice to hear from Nigel. But anyway, on to the main event. ROH World Tag Titles on the line. Ladder War 6. And this was insane. Where there's just so many fucking spots. So many times, so many guys going through ladders. Like, the Addiction were hitting people with chairs, tried to do a concerto, but the Young Bucks ended up super kicking them. sending them to the floor. Then you had a few dives, and you had the ladders, and then at one point the crowds were chanting Bucks of Youth, referencing Broken Matt Hardy. A lot of early, and then you had the Addiction. Early on, it was mostly the Bucks and Machine Guns doing their thing. And Daniels, he was busted open early in the match. And it was a really good job of fast-paced action in this match. He had Matt powerbombing Daniels onto a ladder bridge, then held it where Nick hits a senton. He had the Guns setting up tables on the floor. The Young Bucks ended up taking a section of the barricade, making it a bridge. He had Kaz coming in, climbing, fighting off the Young Bucks, hitting a cutter to Nick Jackson from the ladder. The Guns get back in the ring after they got taken out by Kaz and Daniels. And then they were working. They had advantage. They took control of the match. Then everybody got in, and you see everyone going through tables. Like, the craziest table spot was... Well, actually, the second craziest table spot was Nick Jackson doing a 450 from the top rope to, I believe it was Daniels, through the table. Very clean. No wasted movement. Very clean. Kazarian was bleeding from the back of his head. This was just crazy. Then at one point in the match, everyone was on a ladder. There were 3 ladders, and all 3 teams were on the ladders. And they were just tossing each other off, with Nick being the last person left on the ladder. But then you had the Machine Guns and the Addiction, like, flip the ladder, sending Nick through the table on the floor. And damn, that was just... And Nick took a crazy spot. Yet Daniels getting trapped in the ladder. Kazarian tries to hit the Bucks with the chair. They move out the way, and he hits the ladder with Daniels trapped in it. Then they slam Kazarian into the ladder. And then they slam Daniels on the ladder onto the mat while Daniels is still trapped. He had the Machine Guns and the Young Bucks brawling, going back and forth. And then they start spamming super kicks. And you have one that sent Daniels onto the barricade that the Young Bucks placed as a bridge, or was the Machine Guns? But he bounces off of that. Kazarian. Kazarian. Well, actually, Daniels was already bleeding from the back. Kazarian was also busted open as well. He had Nick climbing a ladder. And then they hit an Indie Taker onto the outside to Alex Shelley. Then it looks like the Bucks were going to win at that point, but then Kamatachi runs out, and he makes the save. You have fucking Daniels hitting the Angel Wings to Shelley on the ladder. Jay White runs out, and Kamatachi's about to put Shelley through a table. But then Jay White stops Kamatachi, tells Shelley to get out the way, and he sends Kamatachi through the table. Then you had Daniels kick Jay White in the balls, and Kazarian hits a slingshot cutter to the floor through a table on White. Then, as they're back in the ring, Daniels hits the BME on Matt Jackson. Before him and Kaz grab a ladder and a table, they both set up, put Matt onto the table, and then as Nick goes up the ladder bridge on the other side. Nick and Daniels draw up the ladder. Nick rakes his eyes. Nick rakes Daniels' eyes and hits him with a backdrop through the ladder that they set up. Then Man and Kaz were fighting in the corner. Then it looks like Nick was going to grab both titles as he climbed another ladder. But instead, they hit a super indie taker through the table. Then the Young Bucks climb up and grab the titles to become your new ROH World Tag Champions. Like, this match was absolutely insane. Like, I've never seen a ladder match like that. Well, it was up there with, I would say it was close, probably right below, maybe below TLC at WrestleMania 17, where you had the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian. Probably on that, I'll put on that tier. Then again, I might even, probably just as good, maybe just as good. But overall, I would give that match 5 stars. Like, this was a great main event. ROH spent a lot of time hyping it up, and this match delivered. So overall, looking at the card, I'm going to give this, probably 8.25, 8.5. This show was pretty consistent. I mean, there were some matches that got a bit sloppy, but it wasn't anything under a 3-star match, and I really liked that. It wasn't a match under 3 stars, and you close out with a 5-star match. You had 2 4-star matches, actually that were 4-star and above, actually 3. 2 matches that were between the 4.2, 4.5 ratio, like around that. Damn, I have a hard time saying this shit right, but okay, 2 matches that were right around in the range of 4 to 4.5. Then you had a 5-star match to close out the show. I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Really good. Thought this was a really good show from ROH. Better than Death Before Dishonor. I just hope that the Young Bucks don't drop the tag titles to Castle and Cabana, because I'm really going to be pissed off if the Young Bucks end up dropping it to those clowns. But that has been your ROH All-Star Extravaganza 8 review. Really good match. Look forward to seeing where ROH is going to go from here. They're going to do Glory by Honor, but that's going to be one of those where it's going to be taped and you got to wait probably like 2 weeks to a month for that to be on video on demand. So that has been your ROH review. I'm going to watch King of Pro Wrestling, and I'm going to see if I can get a review of King of Pro Wrestling later on today. If not, I'll try to do it sometime this week. I'll also try to need to finish up Field of Honor. And then I'll do a review on that. Then I'll see if I can do a review on that. So, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll be back with more coverage of ROH and New Japan. So this has been so see you in the future. I'm also sometime this week, I'm going to see if I can do a video where I'm going to give my thoughts on the Texans, Houston Texans. Got a lot to say about those guys. They're 3-2, but they suck. Even though the record is over 500, still not happy about the Texans. So that'll be it, and I'll catch you guys later.